We wanted to transcend culture. Well, jazz, for one. I think jazz seems to come with its own sort of design sense even. You know, you look at those great album covers and poster design from the 60s. There's a lot of angles and sharp kind of rhythm to them. We tried to let that influence us in our stylization of New York. We tried to, you know, capture the essence of New York, but then just a little tweaked so animation. And then for this place, the great before, it was the exact opposite of that. So no hard edges. Everything's very round and soft and kind of vaporous and simplified. We initially looked at some Greek architecture because in the West anyway, we're taught that the ancient Greece is sort of the start of philosophy and wisdom and things like that. But we wanted it to make sure that it didn't accidentally say we're all Greek, you know. We wanted to transcend culture. So we made it, the buildings and the structures much more abstract and mathematical. And hopefully they give some sense just by the design of the place, what it is that you get when you walk through there. You know, the sense of personality, anxiety, or you know, thoughtfulness, or whatever. We tried to design those things to reflect the sense of personality that you get from it.
I mean, the scene where Joe sees his entire life in the Hall of You, I remember we had to work really hard to kind of wrangle all these different concepts into the film. And this idea of coming into like a museum, a tailored museum that just shows you your entire life, and how Joe would see his life in such a negative light, but then at the end of the film, see those moments for the beautiful moments that they were. Like, that was really, for me, like kind of a breakthrough moment getting in that scene. So that one really worked really well for the, sorry about my dog barking in the background.
It's something to contribute to this interview.
Another scene that really moved me a lot was just the scene with Joe and his mother when he go in the suit shop. And the fact that, you know, it's the first time that they had an open, honest conversation with one another. I mean, that was a very, you know, personal, you know, scene that also means a lot to me as well. I
mean, there's so many that I like. One of them that is a favorite is when Joe falls through these different dimensions. It's a very short little transitory scene, but it's really graphically striking and different, and he kind of falls through a couple different zones and transforms, and you're not really sure what's going on, but you know that he's going somewhere new. That one is really cool to me.
You mentioned the barber shop. I think that scene is incredibly fun. I love all the characters that contribute in there. They feel really real. And Paul, the neighborhood nemesis, I'll go with the barber shop.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is just kind of an investigation into, like, what is it that makes life worth living? You know, what are the important things? And one of the surprises, I think, that you don't really notice until you have it taken away, like we did this year, are how many of the sort of mundane, everyday things, sitting on a cafe stool, you know, smelling the trees, all those things are like, that's the super important stuff. Hopefully it wakes us up a little bit to enjoy that, the things that we already have. That was fantastic in both cases. The music on this film was done very differently than we traditionally do. Like, usually we make the film and we finish it, basically lock all the picture, and then we have the musicians come in and do the score. In this case, John, we wanted to make sure to animate to what he was doing. So he did the music, performed it. We filmed it with like 50 different GoPros everywhere, and the animators then were able to follow his movements. So John's performance was able to be captured, and then the computer would make sure that those actual notes were played at the same time, which was pretty cool.
One thing I'll add about Batiste too is he became an amazing kind of consultant on the film, not just musically but culturally, and he came and did some talks with our crew, just talking about the history of jazz and kind of the importance of Black culture. And it was just really incredible. And then Trent Atticus, they were a big part of the story process as well. It was really cool. Like Pete said, you were used to scoring the film at the very end with a ton of live musicians, where with the way they'd work, they'd come see the reels kind of gather emotionally what each scene was kind of about, and then write cues and send them up to us. So we got to cut them into our editorial process really early. So they really became like in the veins of the story, it felt like. And Trent really related to Joe as a character, which I think helped as well in their writing process.
Thank you. Thanks for talking with us.